good, is naturally opposed. I don't know if you also would say same about the E-Levy and whether it's good or not.
The E-Levy is a tax that I would describe as an attempt by government to steal monies belonging to citizens.
That's too harsh.
In fact, that is it.
That's too harsh. If you say steal.
On the flip side, if a citizen steals money from the government will hold that person, put that person before court and prosecute that person. But here we have the government stealing money from the citizens.
It's a tax.
Attempt to steal money from citizens. It's not a tax.
It's not a tax?
It's not.
It's E-Levy. They say it's a tax that they need to collect to build roads. In fact, now they've reduced it to two major things, because initially we had been told that aside building roads and also providing jobs for the youth, they were going to tackle cybersecurity and a number of other things as well. Now we're being told by the Deputy Majority Leader that it's two main things that the E-Levy is going to be focusing on, which is jobs and roads. And so those are taxes.
No. There are principles of taxation. One principle of taxation, for instance, is it must be equitable. This tax, for instance, is not equitable. Suppose you and me working here at Media General, we are paid our salaries, and you decide to put your salary on your physical wallet, and I decide to put my salary on my e-wallet. When we go to the chop bar and you are taking money from your physical wallet to pay, there's no tax. But when I decide to pay from my e-wallet, I'm charged a tax. Why? So it's not equitable. It flies in the face of the principles that we all know govern taxation. That's one. Two, you don't even know where to place this tax. Is it a gift tax? Is it a capital gain tax? Is it an income tax? You can't tell. You don't tax people's capital. You don't tax money people have already been taxed off those monies, and they now put it in their pocket. Then you now come and be removing that money small from them. That's stealing. And that's why I describe it as an attempt to steal people's money when there's no basis. There's no tax basis for it, because the principle of taxation does not support what they are doing, and yet I find people supporting what they are doing. When I was in Saboba, after my interaction with the NDC people in Saboba, and the three boys may be watching me, three boys approached me after we finished our program in the hall. They introduced themselves to me as an MPP, but that, because they will see me on telly, they want to come and say good morning to me. After that, they said, look, tell your people not to allow the passage of the E-Levy. These are NPP people. So what I'm saying is that there is a groundswell of opposition to this E-Levy. And even people within their own camp are against this E-Levy. So that is how it should be. What
people within their own camp are against it?
Yes, that's what I told you. I gave an example of those three boys who are MPP, who approached me and said that for this tax, you people shouldn't allow it to pass.
But we're being told that based on the Bank of Ghana report that has been put out, there's been a 120% increase in digital transactions in February 2020. I mean, 2020 alone. And so there's a need for us to be taxed because a lot of businesses moved online because of COVID-19 as well. And it's a global thing. It's not just in Ghana. So if we're looking at raking in some more revenue, especially because we're not raking in enough as against our expenditure, then we need to find ways to make in that revenue. And that is on the E-Levy.
Telecos are already charging us. Government takes their money from the telecos. Why do you want to charge us again on that same money? The transaction I do, I'm charged by the telecos. Then you take, as government, you take your money from the telecos. Why would you then come back to me again and take my money? I'm saying that there is no basis in terms of tax principles for this tax they are doing. There's no basis at all. It's just that government is broke, and government is looking everywhere to see whether they can get money. And so they will use COVID. But this is a government which received, how much did they receive from IMF? Is it not $100 billion?
100 billion, yes.
Yes. And the IMF, they receive $100 million. 100 billion, or is it 1 billion? 1 billion okay, from IMF, billion, yeah. Then 100 million from the World Bank.
Yeah.
I'm hearing them say that, look, let's pay and then you can hold us accountable. Is this government not averse to accountability? This is a government that will use your tax, and when you say, come and tell us how much the president is using to fly private jets, they say, we won't tell you. And they believe that the people of this country are fools to pay the tax and hoping that there will be accountability, when your track record of accounting to the people is so abysmal.
They say that's a national security issue that cannot be put out in public.
What they are rather doing is endangering the life of the president.
How so?
Because people are angry that the president is using their taxes to be flying luxurious jets. But if you come and tell them, it will assuage their pain.
Okay.
So those angry may do something that we don't know what they will do. So your accountability to them may even assuage their pain if they don't know.
Okay. Let me bring Kamaldeen in to speak on this issue and the number of points that he has raised, especially on the back of the town hall meeting yesterday that was supposed to sensitize the public even more on E-Levy. Do you think that was achieved?
Well, thank you very much, Bella. And let me say good morning to you once again, and good morning to Honorable Amaliba, and to your cherished viewers out there. Happy New Year once again. I think I've just seen you.
No, I've seen you. I've seen you this year. Yes,
very well,
yes,
very
yes.
well. That's fine. Bella, consultation, reaching out to people that you seek to govern or you are governing, okay? And then explaining to them modalities, policies put in place to ensure that the betterment of the country we all belong is put to fore. It's not something that we should all say is bad. No? Consultation is very good. Talking to people is so good. What Amalba did in Saboba and Zabzugu and other areas was to consult his party people, maybe on decisions yet to be taken or proposals of, if you know, that they have actually, brought on the table to be able to implement for the betterment of their party. Okay. That is the reason why I said consultation in whatever form or shape it comes, provided it is good and tailored towards the buy-in or getting the buy-in of the people that you are governing, is excellent. So let me commend the finance ministry, commend the other stakeholders who have joined him to ensure that these consultations will get to the bottom and let people understand.
Why didn't you consult before introducing this E-Levy?
It's never too late to do that. It's never too late.
But you attempted to pass it in Parliament.
We have a
even
law,
without consulting.
I will answer your question simply.
The public.
We have a law that says that you have a fiscal policy to be brought before Parliament, and the law prescribes the time you are supposed to do that. Then, of course, you would have to draft it. I agree with you that even before drafting that budget, we could have said that, oh, we have this idea. Why don't we try to, if you like, get the buy-in of people before even going to Parliament?
And even the major stakeholders as well.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying, again, if before or after or in the course of the implementation of same, you still resort to consultation, it's never too late. Let me admit that indeed, maybe we should have had the people discussing this and understanding before we move on as a government. But nonetheless, it doesn't stop us from continuing with this particular, consultation, because the fact remains that we still have to go to Parliament. Okay, so it's not too late. We still have to go to Parliament to resubmit it, to get the buy-in of Parliament or approval of Parliament before we proceed on same. So to answer your question, it could be too late, but it's not too late as it were, because we still have the window of going to Parliament to do that. Now, you see, after commending the finance ministry and then these other stakeholders or whoever are on board, let me move to the second topic, which has to do with the imperativeness or the importance of taxes in every jurisdiction. First of all, Ghanaians must know that it's not only Ghana that is seeking to to implement this E-Levy transaction. No. First of all, let's know this. And that is also a tax component. You asked Amalba a very excellent question when he sought to say that stealing from the people is exactly what the government is trying to embark on. And you asked him whether taxes were stealing. Very excellent question. Then he came in to say taxes must be equitable. And one of the principles is that you must see the taxes that you have been imposed on to be equitable, as it were, or to be something that is, if you like, we all accept. Then he gave an example. You have an e-wallet, okay? Somebody decides to take his money and put it in his own pocket. You all go to purchase something. He says, okay, I'm going to use the, if you like, the electronic device to pay. The other person says, my money is in my pocket. I am going to pay. He is not taxed. You see, this is very interesting. Nobody stops you, Bella, from going to pick a car from New Plant Station, put that 1,200 or that 120 or 200 or whatever amount you have, okay? Buy a ticket at New Plant Station, sit in the bus for maybe 4 hours to Kumasi, get down, take a taxi, pay again, get home, remove that 500 Ghana cedi and say, Mommy, I have come to give 500 Ghana cedi, I'm going back to Accra again. Nobody stops you from doing that. That also comes with cost. In fact, if you even look at it, the chain of that, the amount of money you will spend on that, it's not easy. That person who has the wallet, who has that electronic device, says, look, Mommy is looking for 500 cedis. On the 500 cedi, I am supposed to pay a tax component of 1.75 plus maybe 75 pesos from the telecos. Okay? Put that together, I may be deducted this amount, maybe 20 cedis, 30 cedis. I'm just giving an example. Okay? If you do the arithmetic. Then the person says, I am sending this money to my mommy. You and the person who has your money in your wallet, who has been inconvenienced? Let's face facts and tell Ghanaians the truth. Who is going to be inconvenienced? Assuming that old lady that you are going to give the 500 to, with all respect to everybody, it's not well. They would have to buy drugs. By the time you spend 4 hours from Accra to Kumasi, spend maybe 30 minutes to your home and all that, you know what would have happened?
But if they have to buy the drugs via E-Levy transaction as well, then they would also pay E-Levy on that. And so if the drug is 500 Ghana cedis, you are going to have to give them more than that.
Obviously, if you are going to make comparative analysis, the amount of money you will spend, okay, on this, if you like, direct, remittance, okay, and then the amount of money you're going to spend on the E-Levy remittance obviously will be different.
We cannot say that. It will be different, yes, but we cannot say which one will be more than the other, because I'm saying that in case she also has to pay via electronic transactions, she'll be charged.
I have not said nobody's going to be charged. You see, Bella, this platform that we are using, okay, let us know that indeed when the time we had GSM coming into this country, we had mobile money, mobile phone services coming into this country, we all actually celebrated it. We're happy. Why? Convenience. Because it is actually going to bring to the table and to for convenience. Now, that transaction, the telecos have told you that, look, it's not for free. We are charging for what we are doing. The government who has that platform also says that, indeed, I have a tax component to introduce to it so that at least whoever is using it will know that at least I am giving back to society, which is the government, so that the government will also give back to society. I have always watched...
Is government really going to give back to society?
You asked him a very good question. You asked him whether or not Ghanaians... I'm coming. I'm just going to... This question is based on what he said. Whether or not Ghanaians are indeed, getting, if you like, what is the government supposed to give them, okay, in terms of the usage of their taxes. Whether or not the government is accountable to Ghanaians properly in terms of the usage of their taxes. And he said, oh, in a country where the president travels and they don't want to tell the Ghanaians how much the president... Is that the only expenditure of government?
But even that is a big problem. No, but even if it's not, you still have not been able to tell Ghanaians how much money was spent on the road
that you and I drove on, got here. The asphalt roads throughout the country.
Allegations.
No, I'm saying that.
I guess
is that the only? I only ask the question. Is that the only expenditure of government?
It is not. It is not. But if a lot of money is going into that sector, should we not question
Nobody
it?
Has said you should
Especially because the allegations that he's flying the most expensive jets
to
the detriment of our economy.
Let us speak to accountability to the people in terms of the funding that we have gotten. Last year, for instance, the GRA couldn't hit their target. They targeted $57 billion, Ghana cedis. And they ended up getting about 52 billion Ghana cedis. This year, I am told that they are targeting 88 billion Ghana cedis in terms of tax mobilization or revenue mobilization. Of course, all these taxes will have to be part of it, as it were. The point I'm making is that there is no country that will say that, look, I am not going to mobilize revenue to ensure that development comes. And if you mobilize such revenue, some goes into roads, some goes into payment of schools. Why? John Dramani Mahama is on record to have told Ghanaians that he will not spend 2 point something billion to see to your child. to see to your little sister going to school.
But if you also
They will
cannot
not.
account for the
But
president's
the
trips,
government of the day has
if you cannot account for the
to make sure
president's
that the
trips,
future of the kids are guaranteed.
you have not accounted for the COVID expenditure, the monies that we got from World Bank. You have not accounted from IMF. You have not accounted for all of that.
I am not sure. I am not sure that we are having auditors sitting down for nothing. We have auditors ensuring that every bit of public expenditure is being audited. Why? We sit on this platform and we discuss audit reports. And I'm saying that we don't jump the gun to say that this has not been accounted for when in fact it's yet to be done, even. We don't sit down to do that.
But in the case of the president's travel, we're told that it's a national security problem. And so we will not be given any account on that.
It is final. No.
So how do we trust you that you would account to us on E-Levy if you cannot even account to us on the president's trips and other issues?
I am surprised. I am surprised you are not getting me when I say that, look, we have a country where we have modalities put in place. That we say that institutions, this institution do XYZ, that institution do XYZ. On the issue of accountability, that we say that, look, maybe COVID funds has not been accounted for. The government of the day, the president has been traveling, and we are concerned about how much he has traveled with. We want accountability. Parliament calls, and they say, look, the appropriate quotas be used. The first one was finance minister called to Parliament. Finance minister said, look, wait a minute. Let us use the laws that we have put together. The defense minister is in charge. The armed forces of Ghana are in charge of the government to present travel. Get him to come in. My duty is to ensure that I disburse whatever that they have demanded, as it were, which has done. And then Parliament kept quiet. The next moment, defense minister came in. Then, of course, national security minister came in. Of course, components of the letting out of this information may be a bit inimical to us as a country, that they would say that, look, this on national security issue, let me keep this. And this happens everywhere.
So
then somebody sits down to say that because of that component or because of the mention of such, then it means that the government of the day doesn't want to account to whatever the president.
But if that happened, what's the guarantee that if we're asking questions about what the monies accrued from the E-Levy, if it should be passed, are used for, you will not give us the same excuse as well? Nobody's going to give excuse. That's why I've told you that we have auditors in place and no public funds. Appropriation, when it's done, trust me, it goes through the bureaucratic tendencies that we have laid down, which Amalba knows and I know. That nobody just get up and then dip his hands into our consolidated fund and spend it anyhow. You have modalities put in place. So I am saying that when we are speaking to Ghanaians out there, let us let Ghanaians understand that we have these modalities. For example, Auditor General, how are we going to look at COVID fund? Push him. That's the institution. That's why Obama said, let us build stronger institutions than building individuals. The point is that let's push Auditor General to work. Let's put the Auditor General has worked.
He's done it.
We've lost 12 billion Ghana cedis. To various irregularities.
We read that report here, and I'm saying that's another matter that they'll have to deal with. If somebody
but if we're wasting money, we're losing money that much. That is double of what we will get from the E-Levy for a year.
Haven't you had a situation where after Auditor General's work, somebody comes in and, of course, has to explain himself, and then clarity comes in and we move on? He says they've done their work. They have unearthed certain, shortcomings, and those shortcomings are supposed to be responded to. Queries will be given out. These are all processes. And I'm saying, even if NDC government comes, the same processes will be used.
But
when we sit down and then we try to pretend and then appear hypocritical to people that when we come, we are holier than thou. We are saints. We are not going to do X, Y, Z. My brother, we have seen the NDC before.
A sister, you mean?
My sister, rather. We have seen the NDC before. We have seen them. They are not new. They have been in this government. In fact, since the inception of the Fourth Republican Constitution, they even came in. They got 1992, won. 1996, they came. 2000, MPP came. And of course, around 2008, they came. We have seen them before.
They got it wrong, which is why Ghanaians voted you in.
I'm saying,
so you can fix the problem. And so if you're also not fixing the problem, why do you keep going back to them?
Tomatoes, I'm surprised.
This guy.
Governance isn't like that.
Okay, let me bring lawyer in.
He sat here and just made an irresponsible statement about John Mahama.
That he never said that.
That John Mahama said he will not use what amount on free education.
Allow him, please. Come out. Please allow him.
John Mahama,
so please allow him to respond. You made that statement.
John Mahama is the one who introduced progressive free education in this country. And when he introduced that program, school children went to school free. So that is what John Mahama did. And don't sit here and say that Mahama says that he won't use that money.
I can see.
The next point is that consultations. I think the people of this country voted for people to think before they act, not acting before thinking. This your consultation is coming after the fact. The fact is that we have a bill in Parliament, sitting in Parliament. But for their inability to marshal people to appear on the first day when Parliament sat, they would have passed it.
Well, the majority leader says it's been approved.
Yes, technically. So why are they not doing? Why are they now doing consultation then? If
But he says it's not too late.
I'm saying that when you listen to even the minority leader, the majority leader, his statement is that technically, or whatever it is, it has been passed. So why are we still arguing about it? Why don't they go ahead and start deducting? You heard Sticker make those comments that whether Ghanaians like it or not, they will pass it. Is that a responsible comment in a democracy? So people have been voted for to think for the people of this country and not to act. And when they act and people are crying out loud, then they come back and say, oh, we are a listening government. We are now going to consult. You don't do that. Public policy formulation will tell you that because you are going to implement programs that would affect the citizenry, you need to consult them first and have their buy-in. Haven't they done public policy? But to then go and sit down, complete your work, and when people are crying that what you are doing is wrong, then you now go and say you are having consultation. That consultation, the people who were there were people who were selected, targeted to come and speak in favor of the E-Levy. Why am I saying that? Fix the Country people wanted to go into that public forum yesterday. They stopped them. They were manhandled. I'm told they have lodged a report with the police. I know that nothing will happen. No, in this
you can never tell.
In this administration.
If they've reported to the police, allow the police to do their work.
Tell me, in this administration, where and when a complaint lodged against the government or a person in government that the police has taken action
There's a new IGP.
I'm saying that has never happened.
But that's what I'm saying, that there's a new IGP.
I'm saying that has never happened, and let him prove me wrong. Why? Sami Jemfi was slapped by Nanabi. They reported to the police what happened. But let me slap him now. If he slapped me, he can go scot-free. But let me slap him.
He can't go scot-free. He's not above the law.
I'm saying that under this administration, people connected with the administration walk free when they engage in wrongdoing. That's what I'm saying, the point I'm putting across to you. And there's no single example where a government official or a member of this administration has been hauled and prosecuted for wrongdoing. So I'm saying that this administration or this government is doing the direct opposite of all the things they said when they were in opposition. What happened to the mantra of from taxation to production? It even became a slogan, from taxation to production, from taxation. What has happened to that? And yet, people are justifying this tax. I am saying that there are better ways. And I saw Communal before propose how you can get revenue by even just taxing mining companies and how that much can come in. It will be more than this. You have borrowed 221 billion Ghana cedis. You have to be able to produce, to provide jobs for people. How can 6 billion or 7 billion a year provide jobs for people? And you see what the finance minister is doing? He's engaged in scaremongering.
How so?
You heard him yesterday. That look, if you don't pay this E-Levy, we are not able to do anything. He cited a Fitch. And what? That you see, that's why the Fitch has downgraded us. So is this E-Levy that will prompt us out? That's fear mongering. Aren't we paying our taxes? Your income tax, don't they talk? Who does it go to? It doesn't go to this government. The ports have closed down. What? So this government, when they make some arguments and you follow them there and defeat them, then they change the narrative. When you follow them and they change the narrative, you don't even know what they stand for. And that is the reason why. Look, the problem is not about communication. No. The problem on this E-Levy, the problem is not about communication. So they should stop this town hall till. The problem is not about communication for them to think that let's go and communicate to the people. No. Everybody understands that they are going to take 1.75%. Everybody knows it from their Momo money. Some people call it by tax. Everybody knows it. So stop doing that. They are saying that this money you are taking from us does not make sense to us because that is my capital. My capital has never been taxed. Why are you taking my capital? That's the answer the businesswoman wants.
And yesterday,
and it is not about what they are doing, town hall meetings. It's not. It doesn't.
Honorable Esla, before you come on, Honorable Esla Kufu yesterday, Minister for Communications, she said that we cannot go and borrow, we cannot go and beg, and so we have to generate our own taxes. If we're saying that Ghana beyond aid, then this is a clear show of how Ghana will be able to raise its revenue without having to ask and beg for some support from international agencies and all of that, and countries as well, which is why we need the E-Levy.
Haven't they borrowed 221 billion cedis? What does it mean we can't go and borrow?
But that's why she's saying that we borrow too much.
They can't go to the IMF because they are scared that the people of this country will call them names. Because when they're in opposition and we went to the IMF, they kicked against it. So IMF is not a monster. IMF, countries pay dues to IMF. And when you are in such a situation, you go to the IMF for a bailout. We have been paying our dues to the IMF. We are in this situation. You don't want to go there because of your own conduct when you were in opposition. And now you want to impose this kind of tax on the good people of this country. They will resist.
Because if we go to the international agencies, then we're at their beck and call, and they decide what we do and how we spend the money and all of that.
So again, they are afraid of accountability. Because
is that really it?
That is accountability, because the IMF will not just give you free money, and once you go into the program, there are conditions. They will say that tighten this, tighten that. I expect the president to have said that I am going to cut the salaries of my employees by this amount. I expect the president to say that every minister should now begin to use only one car. Because you have a four-wheel drive, you have this thing. So use one car, right? These are austere measures.
Finance Minister has already announced that 20% of our expenditure is cut.
That is just an announcement. What is the practicality? The practicality is what? Does that mean that you are going to reduce your salary?
Okay.
Does that mean that you are going to stop traveling in luxurious jets, or you are going to stop traveling in business class, or there is going to be a statement that all government appointees travel must not travel in economy class?
Okay.
You need all these things for people to know that even the government, those in government, are tightening their belts.
All right. Come on. I was hoping that yesterday at the town hall meeting, there'll be a further breakdown of how the deductions will take place. We've been told that any deductions will not take place if it's 100 Ghana cedis, below 100 Ghana cedis. But above 100 Ghana cedis and above 3,000 Ghana cedis a month, they will deduct some money. And so there was some calculation that was done by GTV where they put it out. In fact, we also did it here on TV3Newday. And yesterday, Honorable Kennedy Nyaku wrote something, and he said that the calculation was wrong because this one says that if you send 150 Ghana cedis, the charges without E-Levy would have originally been 1.50 Ghana cedis. But now, because of E-Levy, you pay 4 cedis 13 pesos. 4 cedis 13 pesos. So if it's 5,000 Ghana cedis, initially there was a cap. So it'll be 10 Ghana cedis, but now you're going to have to pay about 97 cedis 50 pesos. And he says that that is wrong because the deduction is only after they've taken that 100 Ghana cedis out. So the rest of the money is what they will deduct from. However, we've been told that there is a threshold. And if you go beyond the 100 Ghana cedis in a day, you will be deducted the E-Levy. So what if I send maybe 200 in the morning, 200 in the afternoon? Per his explanation, if you send 200 in the morning, they'll take out 100 Ghana cedis and then they'll deduct from the extra 100 Ghana cedis. If you do it in the afternoon as well, per his explanation, another 100 Ghana cedis will be set aside, and it's only the 100 Ghana cedis that will be charged with the E-Levy. So explain to us exactly how these charges will take place.
Let me give you a clear, case of how the charges is going to be with E-Levy and without E-Levy. Clearly, what is out there that you seek to say that GTV or wherever, I've seen a couple of stuff going around on Twitter and some other social media portals, exactly what they are displaying here. It is completely fake.
This is fake?
I am saying it's fake emphatically.
When you say fake, as in the calculations are wrong?
Is not right.
Okay.
Very wrong, fake. And I'm insisting.
Tell us why,
I'm telling you why. I give you the right one. When you take 100 cedis, without E-Levy, it comes to 000. Obviously, they will not be charged. Even with E-Levy, it's 000. Now, when you then take 150, let's take it from there, Ghana cedis.
Wait, you said without E-Levy, there's no charge?
I'm saying with 100 cedis has no charge with E-Levy
yes,
at all, completely. Now, above 100 cedis, let's take it from 150 Ghana cedis. Now you have the charge rising to 1 cedi 25 pesos with E-Levy. Okay.
With E-Levy.
With E-Levy. Now running to, let's even take the highest to 5,000 Ghana cedis.
Wait, hold on. When you say with E-Levy, is that exclusive of the 0.75% that the telcos are charging?
Inclusive.
So that plus the 1.75.
That will give you E-Levy. E-Levy with E-Levy is 1 cedi 25 pesos.
Okay.
Now inclusive the charges of the 0.75, that will give you how much? 2 cedis or so. 2
cedis.
The guy's math is not good. Don't let him be misleading.
So the point I'm making is
this
that,
is not.
Hold on, please hold on.
What we have is that with 150 cedis, you have a charge without E-Levy running to with E-Levy running to 1 cedi 25 pesos here. You get what I mean? And then running to 5,000. Well, I don't want to bore you with all the figures, but 5,000, for instance, will come to give you 122 Ghana cedis, 0.50.
Do you want to do the calculation on the board? We can give you that chance.
He's not good at maths.
I'm only telling you that what you have out there completely is fake. And this is exactly what it appears to be. The telecos have agreed that, look, our charge is supposed to be 0, was supposed to be 1 cedi, for example. Okay, they are reducing it by 25, 0.25.
Yeah.
Okay, now if, for example, it's 1 cedi, it means that 0.75 is what they're going to charge, inclusive the E-Levy if it's passed. Okay, now including the E-Levy if it's passed, you have 0.75. Then now when the E-Levy comes as 1 cedi 75 pesos, then you would have the total of the amount or the charge you're supposed to pay as somebody who is actually embarking on such transaction, as it were. So the point I'm making, this 4 cedi and 8 cedis and whatever calculation that you have had here, clearly does not tally with what we have here.
But so would you charge off the per Honorable Kennedy? And maybe we can project it again for those of you who have not seen it. Let me just read a part of what he says. So he says that, for example, if a person wants to send Momo of 150 Ghana cedis to someone, it's only on the 50 cedis that 1.75% will be applied. First 100 Ghana cedis of every transaction you do is exempted.
Is exempted.
That's what he's saying. However, we're told that you cannot do more than 100 Ghana cedis in a day. I remember when this E-Levy was announced, we're told that you cannot do more than 100 Ghana cedis in a day and not more than 3,000 Ghana cedis in a month. So if in a day I'm sending 150 Ghana cedis in the morning, I'm sending another 150 Ghana cedis in the evening, is he saying, per his explanation, that they will not charge on that 100 Ghana cedis for both
What the principle is there simple is that, yes, we have agreed that below 100 cedis, no charge. That's a principle.
For one transaction or for multiple transactions in a day?
Well, for multiple transactions, see, people can be so smart and want to beat the system. Assuming I say that, look, I am going to send 100 cedis right now. The next moment, because I know they will not be charged, the next moment on same, portal or same number or whatever, I say I'm going to send another 100 cedis. Obviously, the portal will not, the system or the platform will detect that indeed you are going beyond the threshold of 100, which does not attract tax.
Okay.
Of course, your extra expenditure would surely attract the tax that we're talking about. That's basically what it is.
I see. And also, yesterday, we're hoping that the CST, some explanation would be given as to how much money has been accrued and if it was really used to create jobs. And I'll just read something from this is from 2018. It says that talk tax accrues 420 million Ghana cedis in 2018. And then it says that much as the development is good news for the country, it has raised questions about the concept behind the introduction of the tax more than 10 years ago. The then Finance Minister, Mr. Kwejo Baredu, is defending the rationale behind the introduction of the new tax. In defending it, maintained that it was going to be the major source of finance for the government's social intervention programs, specifically related to youth employment in the country. Unfortunately, the revenue finds itself in the consolidated fund, with very little or nothing going to support such programs. And so a lot of eyebrows were raised about it and the fact that you said you were going to use this to create jobs. We have not seen the job creation. All that money that's been accrued has been put in the consolidated fund. And so that fund does not necessarily go to creation of jobs. Government can decide to dip their hands in that and use it to, resolve whatever intervention that is needed. So what is the guarantee that this would even be applied to E-Levy? And why have we not had jobs being created from the CST
Bella,
if really that was the case?
Bella, we would not be fair to ourselves when we sit here and say that NYEP, as it originally started with, that is, it was National Youth Employment Program, then moved to YEA after Amalba and Co came to take over, of course, and still YEA. We will not be fair to ourselves if we look Ghanaians in the face and tell them that people, I mean, scores of people or citizens of this country have not benefited from YEA. It's not true. Thousands of people have actually benefited from YEA, positives. The government of MPP thought it wise to say that the youth who are unemployed, we can, in the tentative, give them a briefing space by engaging them through the YEA or through the NYEP, which they came to turn to JIDA and from JIDA to YEA, as it were. And we all know what happened when it was JIDA. Some people were even jailed for it, what they used it for. So I'm saying that we would not be fair to Ghanaians if we say that YEA, as we said today, has not engaged thousands of youth of this country.
And that money is from the CST?
Let's ask ourselves a question. If it goes to consolidated fund, and then maybe there's onwards disbursement to YEA, is it not still expenditure on towards employment?
So how much of that has gone into YEA?
Of course,
and how many jobs have been created?
I may not be able to sit here and clearly tell you that indeed this is the amount of money that YEA has used. Of course, this calls for details and clear details, because figures, of course, will have to be. And again, it's right knowledge that the YEA is there. Again, it's right knowledge that we will be able to account for whatever amount that has been given to them and what they have used it for. But the point I want to make, which is so important, is that nobody, you, myself, including Amalba, who will say or who can say that the YEA has never been beneficial to Ghanaians, because thousands of people, and as we speak today, thousands of people are still engaged under YEA. So the argument of that the money was meant to use for employment, and
100% of it, right?
For example, it has not been used for that, as it were. But I'm saying that,
but
yes,
we're asking
you
questions.
may have a case, but clearly it is also clear that a lot of people have benefited from it.
But why didn't you account for that? If you're asking us, or you're trying to get our buy-in into the E-Levy, and we're all asking that with the CST, you told us that that money was going to be used to create jobs. Why did you not give us that breakdown yesterday?
I will take this to mean a very excellent proposal to government. And you see, governance is a going concern, which we all agree. And I would take this to mean, in this position, to mean that it is a clear proposal to government that we, at the end of the day, whatever we do, we must ensure, and I'm referring to such institutions. Why is the media there? Why are we not holding forums? Why are we not indeed holding press conferences to let them understand that, look, this XYZ amount of money came to us, this is what we have used it for, so that some of these questions that we ask, with seeking to get answers just now, will actually be, will not even arise.
Okay.
So the point I want to make is that institutions, with the greatest respect, so long as you know that we'll be held accountable, whatever mandate that has been given you, try as much as possible to also explain out, so that it will always not be like after an issue has occurred that we come to rationalize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring lawyer in to respond to
Bella,
this.
this E-Levy and the reason for its implementation, part of it is the COVID. That is the reason for justify. They give that as a justification for the imposition of E-Levy. This COVID that struck this country, did it only affect government? Didn't it affect we the individuals too? So if you are a government that is there for the people, would you further worsen the plight of the people? You are imposing tax on people's savings, and we are saying that there are people who use the Momo, this phone, as their mode of savings. Some of them are not close to banks. Then I put my savings here, and that's why I say it's an attempt to steal their money. I put my savings here, then you come and deduct it. Do you know that even in the banks, traditional banks, when you open a savings account, the banks will rather give you some interest. They don't deduct from your savings. So why will this government, using COVID for the reason for which they are imposing this tax, not have at the back of their mind that when COVID struck, it also affected individuals. You have entertainers, people in the entertainment industry virtually shutting down. Today, you are going to tax their Momo. Aren't you imposing further hardship on that person? Please. we are not saying that NDC is not against taxation. That's not what we are saying. We are saying that this tax of E-Levy is a tax that has the potential of worsening the plight of the citizens.
Okay.
For that matter, can you pull it back? You remember this president was the one who led these Kumiprako demonstrations when there was going to be the introduction of VAT.
Yeah.
At that time, his demonstration was against a former or a military man who was the president. Today we have a lawyer who is all over the place saying that he's a human rights lawyer. Not interested in listening to the people and withdrawing this thing and ensuring that the proper consultations are done. Even a military man withdrew the VAT and made wide consultation 3 years and now introduced it. We have a lawyer who's not listening. Why?
They said they are listening, which is why they are engaging and consulting.
You cannot use with the opposition against this E-Levy. You cannot use 3 days, 4 days at a Kofredia and say you are consulting.
Okay.
Listen to them. They are now calling for consultation with the minority. If you were a serious group of people, during the Yuletide, what were you doing? You didn't do that. Now, you have come back to Parliament, and what you are doing is marshalling your people to go and vote for the passage of the bill. And this is the time that you are consulting. And when you hear their members, they are talking across purposes. Somebody says, I will pass it whether you like it or not. Somebody says it has been passed. So I am saying that governments all over the world are put in place to deal with the welfare needs of the people. A government is not supposed to come and worsen the plight of the citizenry. And that's what we are having in this country.
Was the NDC not against the CST when it was being introduced back in 2008?
What is CST?
Were you against the communication service tax back in 2008? Honorable Esola yesterday said that
They were.
the NDC was against it. And in fact, when they thought that when you came into power, you'd actually cancel it, you didn't do anything about it. What is the guarantee that in opposing the E-Levy? And yesterday, we had someone also say the same thing as well on this stage, A+, that even though the NDC is opposing the E-Levy, if we go ahead and pass it, what's the guarantee that they will also not come and benefit from it and will not cancel it?
They will use it. Because
we've seen that happen in case of the CST.
Fair question.
So, in opposition, as an opposition party, you don't know what our work is?
Your work is to oppose.
To oppose draconian policies.
But when you come into power, and these same policies that you oppose, you don't cancel them. What does it say?
In opposition now, our work is to ensure that we advocate for the people of this country. And that's what we are doing.
Okay.
You are asking me whether when we come into government, we would scrap it or not.
If it is passed, if it is approved.
We have not come into government yet. So,
but we have precedents with CST, which is why I'm asking you that. And they hit you with that same analogy that when you opposed the CST and you came into power, you did not cancel it. And so what's the guarantee that even though you're opposing this one, if it's passed and you come into power, you'd even cancel that as well? Because the Ghanaians are saying they don't want it.
Bella.
Which is the question I'm asking. But let me just bring Dennis.
We did not promise any Ghanaian. And so when you ask me that question, we don't promise any Ghanaian that when we come, we're going to scrap the EST. Did we say that?
No, you didn't say that.
We opposed its implementation.
Exactly.
And that was it.
But you were against it, which is understandable.
But when you came into power, successful, they implemented it.
But when you came into power,
we did not promise any Ghanaian that when we come, we're going to scrap that tax.
Nobody's saying you promised.
Yes.
I'm just asking that these are concerns that you did not cancel it when you came into power, even though you had opposed it vehemently when you were in opposition. So will we not see the same thing happen just in case?
Bella,
let me just bring Dennis Wedam. Hold on, please, Kamal, please. We're trying to get an explanation, a breakdown of how much will be charged on, every transaction.
You have an in-house mathematician?
Yes.
Okay.
Dennis Wedam,
that's better.
by the way, is a house mathematician, and he's also with the digital team. Dennis,
that is better. That's why I don't sit here.
Dennis, you're welcome.
That is why I don't sit here to expose my ignorance.
Can you?
That's why I don't sit here to expose my ignorance.
Okay.
You
I
see,
mean, my
but you are
mathematics is
exposed
bad
to
too.
So I have not said anything.
Dennis, gentlemen, please allow Dennis to. Please hold on. Can you let him calculate for us, please? And please pay closer, gentlemen. Can we allow Dennis? Please carry on.
Okay. It's very bad. I know you. And I've exposed it.
So let me state from the outset that we're going to have the calculations in two folds. Reason being that there's one out there that talks about the E-Levy having an effect on the whole sum of money that is to be transacted. But there's also other argument that says that because government is making a concession for the first 100 cedis, the 100 cedis will have to be taken out, and then you have the E-Levy applied to the excess.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that in two folds on 200 cedis.
Okay.
So for instance, let's begin with the one that says that you're going to have it on the whole. If I am sending 200 cedis to, say, you, Bella, ordinarily, without the E-Levy, there would have been a 1% service charge on it. That would mean that there would have been a deduction of 2 cedis on it.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be an E-Levy imposed on it. The E-Levy would make the whole percentage of charge on it, that is service charge plus the E-Levy charge of, which is proposed to be 1.75, to be 2.75. It would mean that you would have 2.75% of the 200 cedis taken from your money.
Even though the telcos have now reduced it to 0.75.
No, we are still,
you come to
we are
that.
still maintaining that the telcos have not reduced. Because,
carry on.
Yes. So in that case, if you have 2.75 of 200 cedis, you would have something like 5.5, 5 cedis, 50 pesos.
Okay.
That's what is going to be the effect if we are going to have it on the total sum of money.
Okay.
On 200 cedis. Service charge being 1%, then E-Levy being 1.7%. Now there's the other argument that says that because you are going to have an exemption of 100 cedis, because government says that when you have a transaction from 0 to 100, you don't pay the E-Levy, it would mean that that portion will only be affected by the service charges, which is 1%. So you have 1% of your 100 cedis, which is going to give you 1 cedi.
Okay.
So let's put the 1 cedi here. And then you'd also have the 100 cedis in which the E-Levy now applies to. So in this case, you would not have 1% of the 100 cedis. You're not going to have 2.75% of that 100 cedis. Because in that case, the telcos will still charge their 1%, government will charge its E-Levy. So you have 2.75 divided by 100, then you multiply that by 100 cedis. So you'd have 2.75. So that's, for the second part of it, is going to be 2 cedis, 75 pesos. Remember, we already have 1 cedi on the previous one.
On the previous, yeah.
So we're going to have 3 cedis, 75 pesos on this. So you would notice that with what is out there already, which is the assumption that is going to be imposed on all of it, if you're having a transaction of 200 cedis, the total deduction is going to be 5 cedis, 50 pesos. But what we are now being told, I think I heard the communication minister say it yesterday, and we would wish that there's an official communication, even computation, to just clarify this whole confusion. It would mean that you're going to have 3 cedis, 75 pesos on a transaction of 200 cedis.
Okay.
So basically, those are the two positions. One says that the transaction is going to be on the total sum. What we are hearing now is that it's not going to be on the total sum, but for the first 100 cedis, you have to take that out and then do the calculation for the rest.
But that's what I was asking. So that's 100 Ghana cedis a day.
Yes.
So if you keep sending, another amount, then, the second time that you send over 100 Ghana cedis, there's going to be a full charge on that as well.
Sure.
Okay. Is there a way you can also calculate with the 0.75 so that we actually see how much we'll be taking? Because now we're told that the telcos have agreed to take 0.25% off their charges. So instead of 1%, they're charging 0.75.
Okay.
So plus that 1.75%, how much is that going to be?
Okay, so if you want to do that for 200 cedis, what you'd simply do is that instead of the 1%, you now have 0.75%.
Yeah.
So divide that by 100 and then multiply that by 200. So this will be 1 CD 50 pesos just for the charges.
Okay.
I'm doing that for the charges. I don't know how I can clean this quickly.
Okay.
Okay, so let me
Can we
do this here.
Okay.
So for charges alone, sorry, will be 1 CD 50 pesos. Now, government is charging 1.75 on the remaining 100 CDs. Because remember, we are taking out the first 100 CDs. Okay, first, let's do with the one that we are assuming that is going to be on the total sum.
Yeah.
So with that one, you have your 1.75 divided by 100 multiplied by 200. So you have 3 CDs 50 pesos. So tax will be 3 CDs 50 pesos. So with this, you would have 5 CDs. So you're going to have 5 CDs. So if the telcos kick in their
0.75.
0.25. That's what the telcos are taking out, right?
Yeah, that's how much they're taking out.
So when they take that out, you have 5 CDs instead of 5 CDs 50 pesos.
Okay.
On the other side too, if they take out that amount for the total sum, I mean the one government is taking the first 100 CDs as a concession or as free for you. In that case, you now have 1.75 divided by 100 and then multiply same by 100 CDs, not 200 CDs again, because in that case it's now 100 CDs.
Yeah.
So 175, oh sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so you have 1.75 there. So you have, 1.75. Now plus, we had the calculation here already for, that was 1.5. So plus 1.5. So you have 3 CDs, 25 pesos.
Okay.
Yeah, so the difference here will be that if government is not charging the first 100 CDs and the telcos also kick in that 25%, then instead of having 5 CDs on 200 transactions, you now have 3 CDs, 25 pesos.
Okay. So
on the other side too, if the 100 CDs is not going to be affected, you have 5 CDs, 50 pesos on a 200 CDs transaction, and then for the other side, you have 5 CDs.
Okay, thank you so much, Dennis Wedham, our mathematician on the show today, but he's also on the digital team as well. Thank you very much for that.
You know that from January 1st to 24th of January alone, transactions within the mobile money sector, amounts to a total of about 75 billion cedis. You know that?
Yeah, the minister said it yesterday.
Very well. Then out of that alone, if E-Levy was passed and E-Levy was going to be part of it, government would have accrued just this month alone close to, just from 1st to 24th, close to about 1 billion Ghana cedis. You know what that can do to Ghana?
You start.
You know what that can do to
Well,
Ghana?
you said that you were going to invest about 1 billion of that into
absolutely. That alone, would have solved a particular problem. You see, you asked Amalba a very good question. Whether
you keep saying that.
No, you know what?
You don't give me answers to my question.
That answer was a very good one. I mean, that question was a good one. The point is that if you come and you made reference to CST, that they oppose strongly to, having had the opportunity, they went silent, used it, and then helped themselves in the management of the affairs of this country.
How did they help themselves?
Well, we are also on record to have done same. MPP, 1995, we also opposed to VAT. When we came, in fact, we even increased VAT.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? You see, I am driving to a point, which point is that revenue mobilization within is what guarantees your growth. But you see, we cannot embark on, say, freebies alone, and we cannot just sit down to say that, look, we will not make attempt to hit targets, to raise revenue, and be able to use that to help ourselves. That's why I just use the 1st to 24th alone as espoused by the minister. And of course, letting Ghanaians to know that that 1 billion Ghana cedi alone can do a lot for us. Again, if they also come, just because of the CST you gave example, and then also give example to VAT, the same thing is going to happen. The same thing
You
we have
can't
done
say that
also.
for a fact.
Why?
You can't say that for a fact.
Why? The man cannot sit here and tell you vehemently that when they come, they are going to scrap it. He couldn't even say that. He said, wait until they come to government before.
No.
I'm saying
he
the
was
man
just saying
himself
that
is
they
here.
didn't promise that they were going to scrap the CST when they came into
whether
power.
or not when they are come to
I
government.
did ask. I know what I asked. And that's the answer he said. He said that we didn't promise Ghanaians that when we were in opposition of the CST, we would come and scrap it when we come into power.
We are not
that's
like you. You are not like we are not like you.
No, see, my
no,
sister,
that's the answer he gave.
The man is opposed to something. Somebody opposed to something tells you it's bad. Now the person then comes and say, I didn't promise you that when I come, I'll scrap.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Unlike you, who said you were going to scrap
we cannot play
energy sector levy. You said you were going to energy sector levy. You remember energy sector levy. But you have come, you've not done it. So that's an example of what you promised the people and you didn't do.
Lawyer, thank you.
The point I want to make is that we can go back and forth as politicians in this country. We can oppose to matters and then later on come to be faced with realities. What is important to all of us is that we need to develop. Johnny has always been asking questions. Where are our roads? Where are this? Where are our schools? How can we fix this? Whatever. It all boils down to the fact that government has a responsibility, which responsibility is to ensure that the monies that we have had is judiciously put in use so that we will all benefit as citizens of this country. Now, government of the day says that, look, there's an easy way. Which easy way is that from
easy for who? Because for citizens, this is a difficult situation.
The money is not going into Keno Furata's pocket.
No.
But
the money is not going into Nana Akufo-Addo's pocket.
If I'm not getting,
hold on. It's going into our consolidated fund, and that money is going to be disbursed as appropriated and approved by Parliament. That's the way it's going to be spent. So somebody should not create that impression that Keno Furata sitting there is the one to put the money in the pocket.
But 1.75 is too high, is it not? Why are you bent on charging 1.75? There have been suggestions by CSOs, by even the minority at a point, that's reduced it to 0.05% or even 1%. Increase the threshold from 100 Ghana cedis to 300 Ghana cedis.
I'm saying 1.75 is very high. It reminds me of what the minority leader said. That, look, we can shift our stance a bit. If it is about even 1%, that means, of course, calling for negotiation for all of us.
Yeah.
That is the consultation. The fin of the matter has not been gotten to, or the end of the matter has not been gotten to. Yet to be submitted to Parliament. Parliament is yet to approve it. I believe discussions are ongoing.
So there's a likelihood that you reduce that 1.75?
I won't sit here to say that it's going to be reduced. But of course, if there are proposals, why? We're supposed to give and take. We're supposed to judge. We're supposed to understand that indeed. But what is important is that there's so much money going out there. What can we do to be able to bag some for Ghanaians? And then for Ghanaians to be able to get the benefit that they want.
There's so much money going to waste. I mean, the Auditor General gave that report. Exactly. So why don't we rather focus on sealing the loopholes? And I keep asking that question. Instead of having to charge, this exorbitant percentage
while you are sealing such loopholes, which also exist, try as much as possible to open avenue. Ask yourself, if we seal those loopholes, yes, can it help us? It can help us. But of course, does that stop you from having a target of how to mobilize revenue within? Yesterday, I was listening to Pierre Laporte, the country director of World Bank, who said, look, he is happy that today, countries like Ghana are trying to embark on revenue mobilization strongly. That he was even commending the GRA for hitting a target, for giving themselves a target of some 88 billion Ghana cedi to take in taxes, as it were. I'm saying that if we have people like this, foreigners, World Bank, Bretton Woods institutions, commending us of our revenue mobilization clearly, it means it's the way to go. And the way to go is to ensure that when we mobilize it after, we should try as much as possible to use them or use those monies judiciously to benefit Ghanaians, as it were. So for me, somebody sitting down to say, I want power, I can oppose anything. When I come to power, then of course, when you ask, you say, I didn't promise I was going to scrap it. That will be unfortunate to us.
Okay, lawyer, final word.
The same Laporte at the New Year's crew told the government that they should be mindful of the poor when they are imposing policies. So food for thought for you. Now, the next point is also this.
The communications minister said that if you have 100 Ghana cedis in your wallet, you are not poor.
Yes. That is
so are they not to be mindful of the
poor? For people who could not buy petrol when they're in opposition. Now, when you can buy petrol, what will you say? The next point is, because there's an increase in the transaction in mobile phones, transaction, that's the reason for which you are imposing the tax. Then a time will come when you impose taxes on funeral donations because people die. So that shouldn't be the basis for you to impose tax. what this has done is that people have moved from the cash economy to now putting their money in electronic form. What you are doing is taking them back to that the cash economy. Is that what we want? We want people to be now carrying cash on their bodies, and then people will be attacking them. So if there's an increase in the use of electronic transaction, you don't use that to get the people frustrated for them to go back to the use of cash. That's what I want to tell you.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking to us this morning. And, well, we'll have you on the E-Levy. And I hope that you got some explanation as to how much you'll be charged based on the percentages that we have been given. 0.75% from the telcos.
From your guy or from him?
No, I mean from Dennis Weather. Lawyer Abraham Amaliba is the head of legal for the NDC. And Kamal Dean is the deputy director, of the communications team of the NPP as well. Thank you so much for that. Sports is coming up next, and we have more conversations right here on TV3 Newday. Don't go anywhere.